Hello and welcome to this session. And today it's going to be a conversation between me and Arya, my intern on this course, and she is an MA student at the University of Pondicherry. Hello, Arya.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay, so how do you find the story?
Shroud is one of the most complicated and most complex stories that I have gone through till now because, as you mentioned in your lectures, there are many things that are left unsaid. There are many questions arose in my mind and in any mind of any reader when I went through this one. Like, why do people provide for them even after them being so lazy? And why did she marry this man Madhav, and are they really sympathetic, and what happened to their mother? Because he said that Jisoo once says that he attended to his wife when she was ill, but if that man was sympathetic enough, he should have at least went and looked into the condition of Budya. So it left a lot of questions in my mind, and I find that it is one of the strongest stories that moved my mind because I could picture that lady lying there dead with a swarm of bees buzzing around her. So it's one of the terrible stories.
Yeah, it is quite a bleak story, very harsh indeed. And let me pick up on a very interesting idea that you mentioned there about Gisu tending to his wife when she was dying. Let's look at that passage and read that for the benefit of our audience. This translation is by Asha Sattar, and this has been translated from the Hindi. And this is the particular extract from the story that we are interested in. It's on page 15 in my collection of Indian masterpieces, and this has been edited by David Davidar. So my translation is from this collection. So on page 15 in the story Shroud, Gisu says, when my wife was dying, I didn't move from her side for 3 days. And he says, this one, Budya, she'll be embarrassed in front of me, won't she? I have never seen her face. I have never even seen her face. Now to look at her uncovered body, she'll be uncomfortable. If she sees me, she won't be able to throw her arms and legs around so freely. So there are lots of significant stuff in here in terms of the various relationships, and the character of Gisu is also kind of coming through here. So he says, when my wife was dying, I did tend to her, but can we believe Gisu? That's the big question. That's the $1,000,000 question. And I want to connect this extract with another extract in the story when the two men go to the landlord and tell him something. Let's see what that something is. He says, so Gisu touched his head to the ground. He's making an obeisance to the landlord and said, Master, I am ruined. Madhav's wife died last night. She suffered all night, Master. The two of us sat by her side half the night. Half the night. We gave her all the medicines we could. And this is plainly the untruth, the falsehood. So how far can we trust the words of Gisu is a big question. We absolutely know for sure that they didn't sit with her half the night, tending to her, tending to Budya, giving her medicines. So how are we to reconcile all these claims and exaggerated statements made by Gisu? And that's very interesting. I mean, what is the truth and what is the falsehood in all these narratives that we hear from these two men?
Taking a clue from your opinion, I would like to ask how far can we trust the narrator in the story?
That's also a very good question. But the thing is, that's the only window that we have. The narrator is the person who is kind of leading us by the hand through this story world, and he's telling us a particular story, and we need to kind of judge his statements as well. That's what we can do as readers. And I don't know where your question is heading. Maybe I'll wait for the question to come to kind of make more comments about the narrator.
Okay, ma'am. The Shroud can be read as a poignant short story which presents the pathetic plight of a subaltern woman. The only place occupied by her prominently in the narrative is the home. So, is the short story a demonstration of the spatial confinement of Dalit women, through the character of Budia.
Okay, yeah. In this particular story, when this narrative unfolds, and we need to remember that this is just a glimpse, that's the term that I keep using to refer to the narratives, the short narratives that we read on this course. So we just get a window, a glimpse of someone's soul, someone's life. It's just a slice of someone's life, right? So when this slice of life or world is shown to us, we see Buddha confined to her heart. We don't see her person until a bit later, and when we do see her, she's dead. So she is confined to the home literally at that opening moment in the story. But there are other suggestions in the narrative, through the narrative, which tells us that she did work for these men, and there some translations suggest that she went and helped grind grains for the village folk. So she is the one who is doing the hunting for the food. She is sourcing the food, so she has to get out of the home to do that. So literally she does go out, but metaphorically and spiritually she's somehow confined by all these rules and regulations of society. So she's bound in some ways, and we see that binding somehow physically when she becomes a corpse, with the flies freely moving about. So there's a mobility for the animals there, and we have this human being just laid out, with no life in her. So that kind of contrast can be seen.
Okay, ma'am. It is explicitly mentioned in the story that Madhav, Gizu, and Budia are chamas, that is, one among the Dalit communities in India. Analyzing the Shroud from a Dalit perspective, critics have censured Premchand's portrayal of Dalits as cunning and tricksters. So, how do you analyze the Shroud using the yardsticks of Dalit aesthetics?
Okay, yeah, this is a well-known criticism against this particular story of Premchand, and we need to kind of look at several things. So I'll begin with this issue of the idea that they are chummers, that they are untouchables, and they are cobblers by trade, right? But interestingly, in this story, we don't see them engaged in that particular trade per se, and there's no mention anywhere in the translation that I've read and used for this particular course to suggest that that's how they source their lifestyle. So we see them as a sort of landless laborers. They are marginally connected to this farming world, and they're not confined to this task which the caste has given to them. So that bond between their caste and the work is loosened there, if you kind of see what I'm trying to get at here. So there are references made by the narrator which says that there are plenty of jobs in the village, about 50 jobs to be had. Some people might see that it's an exaggeration, but leaving that aside, we can see that there are various sort of jobs to be had in the village, and even the landlord says, I haven't seen you before, why don't you come to work, so they are not confined to that caste associated task of making shoes. So that's one thing. The other thing is that the issue of the narrator, how objective the narrator is in depicting these two characters, and the other thing is how representative are Gizu and Madhav for this particular Dalit community. The sense that I get from reading the story is that they are seen as particularly deviant, abnormal, monstrous. There are others like them who are materially very poor. They are as poor as the other people, but they don't seem to behave in the way that Gisu and Madhav behave towards the others, towards their own close relative, right? So let me come back to the point about the narrator. We do not get a one-dimensional, completely unsympathetic narrator. If we do a little bit of close reading of the story, we do understand that the narrator kind of sympathizes with them at moments, and that kind of sympathy can be read in one or two areas. Let me read from page 18 in my collection, and the narrator says, In a society where people who toil day and night are not much better off than these two, and instead of farmers, it is those who exploit them that grow rich, it's no surprise that attitudes like this develop. So there are several things here. The narrator suggests that rich people do exploit all these laborers, okay, and it is understandable. We can see why Madhav and Gizu have these really abnormal psyches. That psyche has been constructed by this continuous prolonged exploitation that the society has done through these people who are occupying the upper strata of society. So we can see that the narrator has the thorough understanding, in a sense, about why these things seem to be happening in and around these two characters. So we need to keep this comment in mind as well. And he says that, let me read further from the same extract. Still, he had the consolation that, he means Gisu, he had the consolation that, however badly off he was, he didn't have to work as achingly hard as the others, and that people could not take undue advantage of his simplicity and helplessness. So the implication here is that other people like Madhav and Gisu have been unduly taken advantage of. Their simplicity and their helplessness have been exploited by the landlord. So we cannot possibly see the narrator as speaking for the landlords, for the rich. If you understand that, the narrator has all these dynamics in mind, that he understands how the workings of the society is manifested, and how it manifests, then we cannot possibly point the finger of blame at the narrator. And we need to see these two figures, as I said, and as some critics have seen them, as deviants, completely outside of the civilized pale of society. So they are marginalized figures, and some marginalized figures, if you keep pushing them further and further and further, they will react in completely unexpected ways. And that kind of reversal of exploitation that I was kind of discussing it in the context of the critic Jesse Asbury yesterday, is what we can see here, that reverse exploitation is kind of done by these two figures, of the landlord, of the people around them, and of their own beloved character, one who has taken care of them, Budhya.
Okay. I'm adding on to this point. I'd like to read an excerpt. Father and son went weeping to the village landlord. He hated the very sight of their faces. A number of times he had beaten them with his own hands for theft or for not coming to work as they had promised. So, from this excerpt, how is the institution of feudalism manifested in the Shroud?
Yeah, it's very clear from that narrative that the landlord is the upholder of certain principles and of a certain way of life. And I want to connect this to another instance in the story, when when Gisu and Madhav go to the landlord and ask for money. And this is what he says. Gisu says, page 17 in my book, he says, and now there is no one to give us even a piece of bread, master. We have been destroyed, our home has been uprooted. I am your slave. There's no one but you who will organize her funeral. So the landlord, despite all the beatings, despite all the invectives, the scoldings, despite all these injustices, he is the one who has to make sure that the societal norm is reinforced. So he is the one who has to organize the funeral for these people who are completely penniless. So if he doesn't offer the money, how is this funeral going to happen? And that has to be done at the end of the day. So despite the fact that he hates the guts of these two characters, Gisu and Madhav, he just throws some money and gets them out of his way. So he has to reinforce a particular order, and the landlord does that. He's the kind of a parent slash guardian of the people in the village, so that feudal relationship is reinforced.
Ma'am, The Shroud is a faithful portrayal of the trials and tribulations underwent by Dalit women who are marginalized by a patriarchal society. So do you agree with this opinion?
Okay, Buddha has been exploited. That's very clear. And she is within the confines of that patriarchal, male dominated order, because these men can very well, work, make a living, but they refuse to do so in a sustained manner, in a disciplined manner. So this poor woman who has come into the household only a year ago, she has to go out of the house and fill their shameless stomachs, right? So she has to serve these men because that's her job in life. She has been ordained to do that. That's her position in life. So that kind of positioning is harmful to her, and she doesn't get any return. And in a patriarchal society, the male members of a family are supposed to protect the women, and they fail in that duty, and that's to be noticed as well, and that should be observed too. So if the landlord beats his slave, beats his feudal hand, his laborer, he is also the one who has to take care of him. He has to feed him, he has to see to the funeral rites of that person's home, and family members, right? So that job is rejected. That job of protecting the women of the household has been rejected by Gisu and Madhav. So she contributes, but she doesn't get anything back from these two men, and that's a kind of a double whammy for her.
Yeah. And I also understand that in a marginalized situation, marginalized communities, it is the woman who is more subjected to the atrocities of
Absolutely.
casteism. So I think she is a representative of all those ladies who had suffered for
Yeah,
long.
yeah. She's at the bottommost, and she's a slave to these two men, as just as these two men are slaves to the others above them. So obviously, the one who is at the bottommost of the pecking order will really get it, badly from those who are higher up.
Yeah. Martha was reluctant to go inside the hut to check Budia's condition because he was afraid that he'll lose his potato and his father will grab it. So does this instance point towards the fact that for a lower caste person who's striving hard to fill his or her belly, mere sustenance, food is more important than anything else?
Yeah, yeah. That's in my reading of the story. Food is at the heart of it. The obsession about having a decent meal, the obsession about enjoying your meal, is what is at the heart of this particular story. And if you as I mentioned in my previous lectures, the narrative kind of obsesses about meals. And if you notice the story closely, you will see there's a big extended description about a wedding feast that happened ages ago, in the context of a landlord's daughter's wedding. So the narrative kind of luxuriates about it, and you can get all these details about the chutney, the raita, the puris, the number of puris that Gisu ate, and mother contemplating how many he would have eaten if he had been there. All these, I wonder what is the function of this particular description in this particular story. This description is there because these two men are starving, and they have been starving not only for this day or the previous week or for the previous month. They have been starving for a prolonged period, for years together. So we do get a very close description of all the meals that they eat, even the potato meal. Let's look at that one. I discussed that in my lecture too. And the narrative says that when the potato was peeled, the outer part of the potato did not seem that hot, but as soon as it was bitten into, the inner part burned the tongue, the throat, and the palate. Instead of holding that burning coal in one's mouth, it seemed wiser to send it down as soon as possible so it could cool down in the stomach. So food is compared to a burning coal, and these men quickly kind of swallow these coal pieces down into their stomach so that it can cool there. So we can see that it's a painful process as well in some respects. So it does cause a lot of pain, not only to them, the process of getting the food, the process of eating it. It also causes pain to a lot of other people who are around them, and Buddha is the one who is seriously affected by their hunter-gathering kind of activities. They gather the potatoes, they roast it, they eat it without caring about the woman who is kind of languishing inside the hut.
Yeah. And even I was pondering about the need of such a digression in the story describing the landlord's daughter's
Yeah.
marriage. But I consider that as a contrast to the conjugal relation between Budhya and Madhav. Because on one hand, we have girls who are married off in a very luxurious manner and they enjoys everything. So can we say that it's a contrast to their relationship?
Interesting you put it that way, but let me address the first point that you made about the idea of the digression. So in my reading, this is not the digression, it's almost a centerpiece of the story. This description of a feast that they have, that Gisu has had previously, is the centerpiece, and that's what he's aspiring towards, to kind of have another meal just like this at some point in their lives, and Budhya makes that happen for these two men. And there is one moment in the story, towards the close of it, when he says, Gisu stood up, and this is outside the bar. They are at the bar, eating and drinking and making merry. And Gisu stood up and, swimming as he was through waves of joy, said, "Son, she's going to heaven. She never bothered anyone, never hassled anyone. She fulfilled the biggest wish of her lives by dying." Full stop. By dying and getting them the money which will make it possible for them to enjoy alcohol, enjoy fried fish, enjoy all these stuff that they have eaten. This is what the story is heading towards. From the moment it began with them eating a potato meal, to Gisu fantasizing about that meal that he had ages ago, to this big meal that they have at the end of the story. So it's all very well connected if you read it very closely. So food is a big part of this particular story. And the other question that you wanted to ask me is about the relationship, right? The conjugal relationship between Madhav and Budhya, and the other wedding that is referred to. So we don't know much about it, except for this comment by Gisu, who says that you've had a good time with her the previous year. So we don't know exactly what was the nature of their relationship, except that there's a suggestion that it was really pleasurable for Madhav in a sexual sense. That's the one indication that we have. The other wedding feast that we have in the story is a reference to the wealth and the power and the generosity to share that lavishness with the rest of the village. That's what Gisu says, that in those days, the landlords had big hearts. They kind of shared their joy with the rest of the village community. But these days, the landlords don't do that. They are very stingy. They don't spend. They are very thrifty. But I mean, it's a big jump to make from a big wedding to a very happy married state of life for the girl in question, because that's very complicated, and many of the stories that we have read on the course don't have happy homes or happy marriages. Many of them are very dysfunctional, at least when they're represented in literature. So I think there's a big chasm between massive big weddings and happy married state.
Ma'am, the Shroud reads, "We'll say that, compared to the peasants, Gizu was more insightful. And instead of joining the mindless group of peasants, he had joined the group of clever, scheming tricksters." Does the story present the alternate reality of the world of tricksters who lives on the toil of others through the characters of Gizu and Madhav?
Yeah. It's a very, very interesting point that we get in the story, isn't it? And it's that particular narrative that I read before, the one where he says, let me read my translation here. He says, let's say that Gisu was cleverer than the farmers. Hypothetically, let's say that. That's what the narrator says. That instead of joining those simple-minded peasants, he had joined the company of conmen. If he had joined the company of conmen, he would have become a chieftain or a headman of a village. So there is a suggestion that all these headmen, the leaders in the villages, are somehow, tricksters and criminals and not very noble people. So there is an association there, which once again reflects really interestingly on the narrator, the idea that he has about all these leaders and the noblemen and the big shots in the village. And he says that Gisu is clever all right, but he is not disciplined enough to become a conman, because to become a conman you have to follow certain rules and regulations of your own, however bad they are. You need to stick to those rules, and Gisu doesn't do that. So he says that that's the problem with Gisu. And we also need to remember the timeline of this story. It was published in 1935, wasn't it? So India is still under British rule. So this is British India we're talking about. And it struck me just today when I was reading it, perhaps the reference to companies, rules and regulation, was this an association to the British East India Company or the Victorian Empire that's there? So maybe there's a kind of a subversive remark there too, to all these people as con men, thieves and tricksters who have come to this country and cheated the people. So that kind of suggestion is also there, it seems to me. So that's something we can pick up on.
Yeah.
And do a bit of close reading again.
Yeah.
In connection with the historical sources.
A close ring actually provides, there are a lot of satirical remarks.
Yes, absolutely. Which is why, I mean, it's better to read the story once, twice, thrice, 4 times if possible, and then having kind of a sense of, the theme, the characterization, the motivations. Then it'll be better to go for other documents from sociology, from history, and kind of, keep them all together and form some strong, interpretations.
Okay.
It's like a detective, case sometimes.
Budhia's neighbors, they are absent when she rides in labor pain. But once she dies, they immediately turn up to weep for her. So does this instance point out the hypocrisy of that village folk?
Yeah, this is a topic that I have addressed time and again in my lecture videos, and there is a kind of a what to say, is this a textual lapse on the part of Premchand? Wasn't he careful enough when he was writing those dialogues and narrative viewpoints, or was he deliberately making the villagers hypocritical? That's a big question, because if the villagers heard the cries of Budhya and didn't respond to her, that makes them really callous, really hard-hearted. And the villagers come off in a really bad light, and the narrator at one point in the story does also mention the fact that money comes in now, but earlier money didn't come in, and if the money was available earlier, probably medicine could have been bought and spent on and given to Budhya. But then the other questions also arise. If the people had provided the money, would these 2 men have offered medicine? I mean, and we can easily think that these men would have gone off to these bars and enjoyed themselves there. So this is a complex issue, and there's a reference in the story in my translation which says that the soft-hearted women of the village did shed a tear. They kind of commiserated about her misfortune and things like that. So it's difficult to arrive at a conclusion. There are no black and white judgments to be made here, because we are dealing with these 2 men who are, really callous. The depths of their callousness cannot be measured, at least according to the narrative that we have here. And the narrator says that, we can see why they are so callous as well. So we can only look at different angles, and make certain observations about their lifestyles.
Okay. Gizu once remarks, "What a bad custom it is that someone who didn't even get a rag to cover her body when she was alive needs a new shroud when she is dead." The shroud stands for all the basic utilities and regard that was denied to Budhya when she was alive. Do you agree with this comment, ma'am?
Yeah, yes, the answer is yes. And in my translation, that comment is made by the narrator. At least it's part of the free indirect discourse. So this is what I have here on page 18. And it says, "What a sad custom." Gisu or Madhav doesn't say this. What a sad custom. So it's a narrator's viewpoint. And probably he's channeling the viewpoints of Gisu and Madhav together. We can also interpret it that way.
But it is placed in between the exchange of Madhav and Gisu. So again it's confusing over there.
Yeah, so this particular translation, let me read the particular extract so that we can work at the interpretation there. What a sad custom that the woman who didn't even have rags to cover her body while she was alive now needed a shroud. After all, the shroud burned with the body, and then what's left? If the same 5 rupees had come earlier, there might have been some medicine. Gizu and Mada were trying to gauge each other's thoughts. So these thoughts could be the two men's thoughts channeled through the narrator, or it could be the narrator's comments themselves, and then he's kind of saying that these men were trying to also find out about each other's thoughts. So there is an ambiguity there, which once again points to the cleverness as well as the shrewd perspective that the narrator has not only on these two characters but also the customs and the rules and regulations of the society and how they work in every village and every region. So yes, she didn't get what was due to her while she was alive, and now everybody is making sure that she gets it, at least when she is dead. Yeah, that's
Can you comment on the aptness of the title, The Shroud?
the Shroud. Yeah, it is apt in some respects, but I would also suggest that it is kind of a cover, forgive the pun, for other themes that are kind of hiding there. So while we can sense that the narrator or Premchand is kind of pointing a finger of blame at all these hypocritical customs, I would also suggest that the Shroud is also hiding other issues, other complexities, other problematics that are there in society, and that big problem is the lack of food, the lack of a decent meal, at least a good meal for these men once in a while. So that idea of starvation is kind of pushed under the blanket, or pushed under the shroud, so to speak, in this particular story. But a good close reading will kind of bring out this theme that's there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the session. We'll catch up with you in the next one. Thank you.